No.
Hello, Mr.
Hello, Mr. Womack.
Hello, Mr. Womack. This is the protocol. Save the last word for me for discussion number 2.
C.
Okay, Haley will start.
I'll start. So, this is a quote by Rosalind or Rosaline, whatever. So maybe I should, I might ask you for commission, but I do take thee, Orlando, for my husband. There's a girl who goes before the priest, and certainly a woman's thought runs before her actions.
Wow. Oh.
Okay, I'll go first. So that quote is mainly about, right, Rosaline says it, right? And she's talking about her love for Orlando, and she's saying that, like, lots of her thoughts and actions are driven by the heart and not the mind. And it's like, someone is very quick to, like, think and act before they think, sorry. And then they have their immediate response is to, like, act through what they think is right because of their heart, and, like, they feel what they want to feel, and those emotions drive their actions. So, yeah, that's what I think. Okay, Jane, go next.
Okay. Sorry, can you repeat the quote one more time? What kind of quote?
Maybe I might ask you for commission, but I do take thee, Orlando, for my husband. There's a girl goes before the priest, and certainly a woman's thought runs before her actions.
Okay, yeah, that kind of also relates to my quote. And, like, I feel like a lot of them take love for granted, and I feel like they don't really know what love is. I guess I feel like they just kind of act somehow to feel like they're what they think instead of, like, So I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like, other than, like, in a lot of Shakespeare books, the love isn't really love. It's kind of like they're more just attracted to them, and they're like the same way, or was it Oliver? Yeah, Oliver got married to Celia, and like the day, basically like the day after he met her, just because of the way she looked, basically. So I feel like they just kind of act before they think about anything and actually get to know the person.
That's cool. Okay, now
Okay, so what Jane said, I do agree with that because, like, they're only attracted to each other. They don't really get to know each other, or they don't really love each other. They're just basically attracted to each other, so they just get married in like a day. Okay.
Now she can debrief and talk about that.
Okay, so my intention and, like, what I got out of that quote was kind of like, I feel like she was talking about. Okay, so what I meant with mine was that, I felt like it kind of summarized, like, how the whole book was. Like, I feel like she said a woman's thoughts runs before her actions, and I feel like that's how the whole book went, like, them just, like, running on, like, impulse, like, oh wait, like, one of you, okay, we're all just gonna go, we're gonna do this, and okay, now we're gonna be men, and, like, they just do things without really thinking about it, and that's how the whole book is. And I feel like she kind of just brings it up, and I feel like it kind of just, like, summarizes how that whole book happened, how she got to Orlando, how she found Orlando to begin with. It was all just like, oh, there's gonna be a fight, you want to see? Kind of like there was no, like, planning or anything into it. I think that's really what I thought I saw in that quote. So,
Yep. Okay. I'll go with my quote. I chose a quote from Acts 5, Scene 4 by Jacques Dubois, which is the younger son of the Orlando and Oliver's father, and he only has, like, one line, so I chose. Let me have an audience for a word or two. I'm the second son of old Sir Rowland. that brings these tidings to this fair assembly. Duke Frederick, hearing how that everyday men of great worth resorted to this forest, addressed a mighty power which were on foot, in his own conduct purposing to take his brother here and put him to the sword. Where, meeting with an old religious man after some question was converted, both from his enterprise and from the world, his crown bequeathing his banished brother. Let's just start. Where was that? Act 5, Scene 4. I think the last page.
Yeah, it's like the last
Things
thing.
there. Yes. That's what he said. Who wants to go first?
I can go.
Okay.
Okay, so what I understood from this quote was kind of like, this is kind of goes along with what I said, that they always act on impulse, and even when they're about, like, when Duke Frederick was about to attack them and be greedy and take away even, like, their heaven of banishment, when he realized that he had actually banished them to heaven, that he was staying in hell, which was the town. And that he just kind of acted on impulse and decided to just go attack him, and then realized how dumb it was, and then just decided, like, in the middle of it, that he just wanted to be a religious man, just devote his life to being a monk instead of being in charge, and that he's giving back the land to Duke Senior. Just like the whole thing is just kind of like, he didn't really want to take over the land. He just felt like he kind of needed to because he was jealous that that banishment was better than being there.
Okay, so I agree with Haley on them acting on impulse and stuff like that, and where it says that he like raised a large army to invade this land and fight his brother, but just at the edge of the forest he met an old religious man that basically like changed his life all of a sudden. It was just like random, like he didn't really like think about it. And that's the same way I feel when Oliver said he was gonna like give his land to his brother when he was gonna get married to Celia. It was like he didn't like think about it. It was kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna take the land, like all of a sudden, and he just like, you know, basically, you know what I mean? Like he just kind of acts right on impulse. There's no like afterthought or anything. It's kind of like, well, whatever happens, basically.
Sonic?
Okay, so I agree. The whole book is basically about them acting without thinking. And what you said about Oliver just giving up everything, giving everything to Orlando. Yeah. And also how Duke Frederick just gave up his whole kingdom and decided to become like a religious man, because I think there was some priest that he met in the forest, or monk, yeah, and he just decided to give everything up.
Okay. Now my turn. Okay, so that's like, you summed up pretty much like what I was going for with that. But to add on to that, I wanted to say like, this also like Duke Frederick, you know, he in the beginning of the movie, the book, like he was like the bad guy, and he was like the villain, and he was the one that was like out to get everybody who was like good, and he was for out of like no other reason but like hatred for the good people, like jealousy almost. And this could kind of relate. So this Duke Frederick, he met a religious man, a monk, and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna turn my ways, I'm gonna be good from now on. This could also relate to how Oliver, after he was saved by Orlando, he kind of realized that I was doing this all for nothing. Why should I be jealous? Like I have a great brother, like why don't just like, so then he's just like, he turned himself around, he became the good, and this kind of relates to like how this entire book is a comedy, it's not a tragedy, so it should end happily ever after. Who wants to go next? You go next.
That's actually a really good quote because it shows you again how they always act on impulse, basically. Showing how he said he'd basically take his own life if Rosaline didn't like return the love, because in Shakespeare books, and this also relates a lot to my quote too, like I said before, all his books are on love. Like they make it seem like if you're not in love with someone or if you're married to someone, then what's your worth of living, basically. Like you have to have a wife, and you have to have a husband, and you also have to have a son so you can become a king and stuff like that. I just feel like that, like back then, nothing else was as important as love, basically. Like it was the most important thing after probably religion. But yeah.
Haley, want to go with me?
I'll go. Okay, so I kind of took like this whole thing as like, yes, they definitely act on impulse, but I feel like in this moment, she has like a complete she's like a freak out, I guess you could say. Like she sees any sign of the fact that she's not gonna get who she wants or what she wants, and she starts to like freak out. And I think that she just saw the chance of her not getting that love, when she just said was like the most important thing in this play was this whole like everyone's gonna fall in love and be happy. And for a second she just thinks that she's not going to be, and she like freaks out and said love isn't real, no one dies for love, and like get over it, you know? Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. I agree with what both of you said. Like it also, like this entire book, like literally, like all the time, they're just acting on impulse, acting without thinking or thinking things through or what the consequences might be, good or bad. But then, yeah, also there sometimes the Rosaline produces this kind of like panic or like this thinking things over. Like, is this really the best idea, or is this really going where I want it to go? Like, and this would be one of those times, right? She's just like, so Orlando's just like, I'm so in love, I'm gonna like die if you don't stay with me or something like that. So she's just like, well, all of these historical instances, Greek and from like Alexander's time, that she's referring to, like how they did not actually die for love. It was just an accident. Like there's no such thing like you can do that. But so.
Okay, so they definitely act without thinking, and how they all just get married in the end, because like for them, like love is like the most important thing in the whole life. But like Rosalind says that she doesn't want to get like fooled into the idea that love is the only thing that the world has to offer. And then she says that like she doesn't want like love to like cloud her sense of reality, like her thinking, and
Okay. Last but not least. Whoa!
We get to watch our foreheads.
Sonica, you're like poking up and peeking
3
up.
months, maybe. It's possible that on so little acquaintance you should like her, but seeing you should love her, and loving and wooing she should grant, and will you persevere to enjoy her.
Okay. Where's the page? Okay, now you have to cut this off. Page. It's in Act 5, Scene 2. It's like the very, very beginning. Who says it? Where is it?
Orlando, right?
Or not, yeah.
yeah, what
Is it really possible?
It's in the first like page of the book.
Okay.
Oh! This is another one.
Okay, I
Okay,
can go.
now who's going next?
I can go. Okay, so I really like this quote actually. It kind of like honestly summarizes everything we just talked about. Like, you really mean to marry her? Like, you don't even like know her, and it definitely ties in with like this impulse thing. Like, they're all just so they want that love so bad that they're willing to just marry like whoever and then say it's love. So like, and like maybe they end up falling in love with them, but they're I mean, you can't be in love with someone that you've had like a second conversation with, and like, well, at least I don't think you can. So, that's interesting. Yeah, it definitely ties in everything we just talked about. I really like that.
Okay. I'll go next.
Is that first?
Okay, I honestly think this is also summing up what we were literally talking about the entire time about people thinking about the characters thinking before they act. But I think also it's kind of like hypocritical on Orlando's behalf because he literally fell in love with Rosaline like in that moment of meeting her and the day after meeting her at the game, the battle, right? So, and he was like probably already, we don't know, but he probably already was like thinking, I'm gonna marry her. I'm gonna marry her. So it's kind of like hypocritical because he's complaining to his brother now that he's just like, you just like met her. You can't, literally the same day. Like, you can't already want to marry her. I'm like, well, I mean, you did the same thing. So.
Okay, so basically, this is like basically throughout the whole book. Like even Audrey and Touchstone, they meet like for like one day, and all of them, like literally all the characters who get married, they met each other like for like one day, and they get married the next day. So they do a lot of things just like without thinking, and that's what Orlando is trying to say. And he's actually like, do you actually want to marry her, or are you just like really just attracted to her?
Okay, there's this word there's this word that really goes with like how they all see each other. You know, I'm still trying to think of it. I'll get back to that. But I feel like this is like a recurring theme in Shakespeare books. Like for example, Romeo and Juliet. They legit like had just met and they were already in love and willing to die for each other. And I just feel like it's all his books, everyone acts on impulse. Like there's no like second thought, which is basically what we've been talking about this whole entire time. And I feel like it happens a lot. Like basically, I mean, for Orlando and Rosaline, they had more time to get to know each other more, I guess, or talk to each other. But with Oliver and Celia, it was like, for all he knows, she could be a horrible person and he doesn't know because he's actually talked to her once. And I just feel like I said before, love and marriage is a top thing for all of them back then. Like, it seems like that was like the most important thing over, you know, everything.
So valid points, everyone who said valid points. We're gonna take like 2 minutes to debrief it and like bring what everyone said together. I'll just like start. You guys can go for it. So main thing that I think we all know was that this entire thing we picked quotes that represented their like their emotions and their heart leading their actions and decisions, and still very like they didn't hesitate. It's just very rapid and like quick. They didn't think before they act. And that's like, you could find a little bit of that in each of our quotes, although that we pick different quotes from different scenes, different acts, different paces of time in the play.
Yeah, like we all kind of like chose, like without even like realizing it, we somehow all chose quotes that had to do with this same theme of impulse. And I think that's a really big theme throughout the entire book, just acting on impulse and just going with whatever happens and being happy with whatever happens, and just like, yeah, they got bandaged, but where they got bandaged was actually better than where they came from. And I think that was something that was important from that impulse.
I actually think that Shakespeare might have, like, throughout all of his books, he literally, like say Romeo and Juliet, the famous one, the very famous one, they, like, literally fall in love. Everything just happens very quick. But I think that's mostly to do with, like, the size of his plays. They're not, like, books, right? They're plays. They don't take much time. So maybe he did that for a reason?
Yeah.
Or maybe...
This book in jail has, like, hundreds of big pages, so I guess... Instead of waiting to get to the moment where other books kind of like they stall, this book just kind of goes like it's basically.
Yeah, it's because the main character is Rosaline, right? And then Orlando's just her lover, right?
Just like saying the main point.
Yeah,
like, what's happening.
yeah. They wanted to Shakespeare probably wanted to focus more time on how Rosaline and Orlando like get to know each other. They were like falling in love with each other, just like Alien. It's just everyone just had to get married and like be happy at the end, so they just. Touchstone and Audrey was just falling in love, and
I agree. I feel as though out of all of them though, Rosaline had her head on more stable than the rest of them, and I feel like she thought on impulse, but she also kind of, you know, had to think back. But I feel like she was also kind of, not really peer pressured, but she was like almost bribed into getting with Orlando in a way when, I can't remember what actor's name it was, when he said he'd obviously die if the love wasn't, you know, returned. And I feel like as soon as that was said, she kind of, you know, was like, oh, okay, you know what, fine, let's get married, whatever.
That whole thing that you said about Rosaline probably having her head on, I think that relates to how like women's rights and roles. Because the thing is, this might have related because the most of the book she was a man, right? She was dressed up as a man. So I guess they want to imply that men have like more
like control, more
yeah,
like
more control.
they were more important
Yeah.
in the relationship.
Yeah.
Their
This
feelings
prob-
were the important ones in the relationship.
Yeah, so it's probably like Rosaline gets some like enlightenment, like how men think and stuff like that.
Because that was like makes sense. Like they wanted to prove that men have more control over women.
Because it was like, as soon as he said that, it was kind of like a light bulb, kind of like, you know, it was like, okay. And then she's like, you know what, fine, you know, let's get married, I'm in love with you now and everything. And I was like, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great. You did a great job. I love all of your ideas. You guys are very smart people. Whoop, whoop.
Number 2 done.
adios, Mr.
Bye, Mr.
Womack.
Womack.
Adios.
No timing. No timing.
No timing on
No
me.
timing.
Okay.
Okay,
Act 5, Scene 2. This is by Orlando.
Stop. Everyone just stop.
3 months later.
Okay, 3,
And
2.